Oh, hello. Welcome to today's video. A slightly more community-focused video today. So for those of you who don't know, periodically I like to run a hobby challenge here on the channel for all the lovely people in the Discord. Free to join, by the way, if you're not in the Discord. Check the description, click the link, get in and take part, right? This year, the first hobby challenge that ran January, February, March was to do New Year, New Kill Team. So everyone that participated had to paint up a brand new kill team within those 3 months, and they had to showcase some new hobby skill, something they'd never done before. But beyond that, they could paint whatever they want, and we've got the entries in. We're going to go through them all, give them all some hopefully constructive feedback, and announce the 3 winners. So I'm going to start off by talking about what I did. I always like to hobby along with these with these challenges myself. Of course, I can't win. These aren't part of the judging. So I, as regular viewers of the channel will know, did the Blades of Cain, which you can see here, and I've taken these. This is the team I took to kill Team Nottingham. It's just pure Banshees because that's the hobby that I wanted to do. I know it's probably not the best way to run the Blades of Cain, but that's how I decided to do them. I was copying really one of the heavy metal variant colour schemes for Yanari Howling Banshees. Reasonably pleased with the way they turned out. I don't think that they're better or even as good as my Lamenters, though. And I think I learned a lot doing this project about what makes a good project. Like, what I achieved what I set out to achieve, but perhaps what I set out to achieve wasn't ambitious enough, right? So yeah, that was generally my experience. The thing I did, which I've totally forgotten to show off in the picture, but there you go, is that the Exarch's arms are all magnetized with tiny magnets, and you can hot swap the arms for all the other weapon loadouts available to the Exarch. Okay. We had a second staff entry this time, so again, Zimbad. It was me, Zimbad, and Mrs. TI that judged the entries, so Zimbad also not allowed to win, but he wanted to play along with everybody as well. He painted up his Space Marine Scouts. These are in the colour of his homebrew Space Marine chapter, so Zimbad loves Space Marines so much, he has 2 Space Marine armies, he has his Dark Angels, and he also has his homebrew chapter. They look really, really good, really, really striking, okay, in that colour scheme, really splendidly executed. Really like the effort that's gone into the bases as well. I think they look really, really good. It's just it's a great team. And Zimbad's special thing was being the first person to be. Oh, this is the first time he's ever had anything submitted on time for a hobby challenge. I'm trying to be constructively critical, and I'm finding it a little hard to pick anything to be particularly critical about. I guess I really wanted to pick Nits. The freehand on the Sergeant's Chainsword there, looks a little bit, could maybe have improved it by masking off and stuff, but apart from that, they're a great team, great highlighting, great work, great job Zimbad. So now we get on to the actual entries that were available to be judged, and these are in no particular order except that the top 3 are at the very end of the presentation. So 3rd, 2nd and 1st are at the end of the presentation, but all of the others are in no particular order. So this is Tron. Tron did Vet Guard on a massive display base, and his new skill that he'd never done before was he made a display base, right? So I like the Vet Guard. They're painted up in the very traditional kind of World War, the World War II French kind of colour scheme, right? Or World War I French, but it's the classic kind of French powder blue on the cloaks there, which looks great for the Death Corps of Krieg. I think that's really cool. They're on really nice bases, and there's a load of work that's gone into the diorama base, the watchtower. He's really gone above and beyond to really pick on the kind of new skill part of this by making his cool little display base, and he has a really fantastic artifact that he can use, and have on display for years to come. I think something that I'm thinking about more, and I'm thinking about it myself as well, having entered models in painting competitions and having judged painting competitions, like Has he failed to catch the judge's eye because his paint scheme is quite a standard one? Maybe, right? Like, maybe. But everything's really well executed. I think they look good. But yeah, I've not really been able to, constructive feedback-wise, I would always rim the bases with another colour. But I think presented as they are on a display base like this, where they haven't it's not like they have particular holes sunk into the display base for the minute just to stand in. Actually, the brown rims kind of add to the effect. So I'm struggling to come up with a particular room for improvement, which is, I realise is always a bit annoying when you've entered something for painting competition. I think maybe it would have been nice. The photographs are a little bit, like, obviously he had an enormous thing he wanted to show off the scale of, so it's a little hard for the photographs to get a really clear impression of the whole team, because the thing he's created is just so big, and it's difficult to really get into the minutiae of the highlighting and the shading of all the little pieces and see the intricate brushwork that's gone on. So I think maybe that's, you got to imagine with an online painting competition, there's that added dynamic of the photograph that you present needing to show the best possible picture of your team, unlike an in-person painting competition where there's no barrier between the judge and the finished miniatures, right? So we're going to look at Ouroboros's Hierotex Circle. So Ouroboros was attempting 3 things he'd never done before. Never painted Necrons before, never used Rust Effect paint, never used 2-part resin. So the first thing I want to say about these is the 2-part resins work really, really well. Like, I really think that those bases where the Necrons are like wading through ankle deep, they look really, really, really good. Okay, and so the execution on that, flawless. Like, really, really good. I'd be proud to have bases like that in my own collection. Like, I think that bit has been worked really, really well. I think there's a couple of things that I like. The rust effect is interesting, right? I think it looks really good, but I guess in the back of my mind, it's like, it's a painting competition, and I sometimes feel like these products, like rust effect type stuff, it's like, if I just paint all this rust effect on, then I don't actually have to paint the model and show like the range of technical precision from painting it. It's like an alternative to painting it. Like, I think the rust looks good though, but perhaps it's quite straightforward to achieve. I don't know. Like, it's hard really to judge something in a painting competition when it's kind of the combination of a couple of products that are almost designed to make painting a little bit easier. But I do think the overall effect is a good one. I do detect a little bit of sort of edge highlighting and dry brushing and things going on around the edges, or perhaps the product's just that good. What I don't like is the way the verdigris come off on this. Now, verdigris, we were talking about this when we were judging them. Verdigris is really tricky because actually this verdigris looks really realistic. In that, if you look at a church roof, for example, or the Statue of Liberty, I guess, verdigris does just look like a solid matte green cover, right? But to kind of sell the illusion of verdigris on a miniature when somebody's looking at something, I think you need to show a bit more of the copper coming through the bottom. Right, I think some of the verdigris. I think the verdigris, for my tastes and some of the judges, I think the verdigris has gone on a bit thick. And then the other component you've got is the red glowies, which I think the red glowing parts just look a bit flat. I mean, they could have done with a bit more highlighting, a bit more something to look that a bit much more like light sources and not just like some red like material of some kind or another. So, really mixed feedback, but I really like the bases on these, and I'm pretty keen on the way that the rust effects worked. Verdigris not so much, and the red areas are just a bit kind of feels like a little bit of an afterthought, if I'm quite frank about that. But I really do like the way the bases have come out like that. It's actually genuinely inspired me to make bases of that kind for something myself at some point. I think it looks really, really good. We're going to look at Alex McInnery's Gellerpox Infected. So this is the first kill team that Alex has ever painted. He has done other things, like it's not the first thing he's painted. He's done 40k armies and other bits and pieces before, but it's the first kill team. I think the Gellerpox look great. They're a bit green for my taste for Gellerpox, okay? I think they look great. I think he's managed to get a fair bit of texture into those individual Gellerpox. I think... I like the colours he's chosen. I like the techniques he's chosen. I suffer this with my Gellerpox as well a little bit. I think it's one of those things where Gellerpox feel like they'll paint up quite simply. And my Gellerpox, if I was to show you my Gellerpox, they're painted in a really kind of a quick and easy way as well. I think Gellerpox can look really, really good, and they seem like they're seductively easy to paint, but I think if you because it's ultimately it's flesh, right? I think if you lavish a lot of time on them, and I think, he said in the entry that he was going for comic book style colours, which is great, and he's achieved that. But I think it's again one of those things where by picking to do something that way, he's limited the amount of skill perhaps that he could show with the painting. And I will say as well, just to give another piece of feedback, the bases need a little bit more work. That's the main thing. I think the bases need a wash and a dry brush just to make them pop a little bit, because they look really, really flat. But, I like the colours, actually, and I like the presentation, and it's really hard to judge a painting competition and to give... because obviously not everybody can win. And, yeah, I think... it's a tough one. They just didn't quite jump out. And it's one of these things where I'd love to pick them up and look at them in person and try and gain a real understanding of what kind of effort's been employed, and what's contrast paint, and what's been sort of manually shaded and highlighted, and turn them all around and look how the light falls on it and stuff like that. But yeah, a good effort though from Alex, and I think he should be proud of them. He should be proud of them. Matthew Poole, famously the winner of the competition last time, unfortunately not made the top 3 this time, Matt. But it's not for lack of trying. I think, look, these are really good. There's loads of stuff on these that I can pick out as being really, really good. The highlighting, especially on the Striking Scorpion, the sort of volumetric highlighting where the green really fades quite really nicely from light to dark. Like, it's better painted than me, is Matthew. Like, it's better than I could do. I really like the way that he's done the crystalline swords on the Howling Banshees, following the now pretty famous Louise Sugden crystalline swords tutorial. And I think the bases look really good as well. The only parts of this that I don't like, to be honest, I think for my taste, like if you look at the studio paintings of the various Aspect Warriors, not all of the gems not all of the things that could be gems actually are gems, and Matthew has painted every single thing that could possibly be a soul gem as a soul gem, which for me just makes the miniatures look a little bit weird. Like they've got the I don't know, just my eye looking at them, my eye, like the gems are all painted really nicely, and my eye kind of wants to look at all of them, but there's just a bit too many of them, and it's drawing my eye all around the miniature in a weird sort of way. So I think that's one issue, and the other issue is actually the actual display base piece. And I guess it's probably a factor of not wanting to spend the earth for loads of bits of plastic for something that is ultimately a display base. But it just looks really clearly like some bits of plastic stuck down onto a piece of cork. So the miniature's gorgeous. If anything, the display base, and the fact they don't all fit on the display base, if anything, the display base actually detracts a little bit, I think, in this case, from the overall composition of the piece. Like, I want to be really clear, the miniatures are painted to a higher standard than I can paint, right? Like, there's a really high standard going on, but I just think the display base is a little bit lacking, and perhaps he's picked out one too many soul gems for my personal taste, but it's still a wicked cool kill team, Matt, and you should still be really proud of it. You tell that I'm struggling to criticise people, but it's what people like, apparently. So, Maj Tom's Far Stalker Kimband. So, Maj Tom's first time painting Kroot, and it's his first time working with oils. So, I struggle with these because they look good, they look great, they look fine, there's nothing wrong with them. You have to tell me that these were painted with oil washes. Like, there's nothing here that's giving me that kind of classic oil wash, super grimy look. They just look like some reasonably nicely painted Kroot. If anything, I think some of the shading and highlighting on the flesh of the Kroot skin is actually too subtle. Now, this could be photography. It could be a lot of different things, but that's my kind of take. So they look good. They look fine. They look, certainly a kill team you're proud to put on the field. But there's not a wow factor. And to stand out, especially in an online paint competition where you're showing it off with a single picture, there's really just got to be a wow factor that pulls the judges and makes them really want to look long and lovingly, I think, at your entry. And these just look like some pretty good standard Kroot guys, right? Navy breeches. So the Navy breeches, like, it's a decent paint job, right? It's certainly not one of the most technically executed paint jobs we've seen in the competition. I think the silver with the black cloth is a pretty muted colour scheme. And also, I think the photograph that's showing off the team, could be a better photograph. But I will say that Hal said it was his first time using glow powders, and the effect he's got from his glow powders is fucking... I'm sorry, well, I've sworn now. It's fucking phenomenal. When you look at the little lights off picture at the top corner, that's just so fun. And he's put a lot of work into meddling with his glow powders as well. But I think it is cool, and I do like it. But I think the paint job itself is there's a couple of things that could be done to elevate this. So I'm thinking, for example, the theme is around, maybe I understand, maybe because the theme is around the glow powders, so then he's got the plasma gun, and the plasma gun coils are just like a solid colour. Maybe he didn't want to put a glow on the plasma gun as part of his kind of theme, because he wanted to focus the glows on the sort of the green glowing area. So maybe it's an artistic thing, but I just think they need... Because the metallic and the dark cloth just kind of... It's the composition. I think they just needed something else to make them pop. I really like the red on the wrist-mounted computer of the guy at the front there. It would have been great to see more of that red spread throughout the composition of the whole team. I think that might have been the thing that swung it around a little bit for these. But it's a good team, and I really do like the way those glow powders look in the lights out picture as well. That's really cool, made me smile. Bernhardt's intercession squad, these are really good, right? These are banging, and he's done an elite kill team for the first time ever, and he's done an enamel recess wash, which you can really see. If you look, I'm just thinking my laser pointer up. You can really see it around the back of this Marine here, around the legs. You can see the subtle browns on the classic baby blue. These look really, really good. And I'm reflecting on this is a really nicely executed team in a lot of ways. It struggles a little bit. And the mistakes that he's made, if you could even call them mistakes, are mistakes that I definitely make myself all the time as well. And I think part of the problem is when you do a standard colour scheme that everybody's seen before, it's somehow, because we're very familiar with what a Space Wolf looks like, somehow it's not as impressive. And I struggle with this because I really like copying box art colour schemes as well. But it just hasn't grabbed the attention of the judges in that way, because it's a very standard colour scheme. I also think maybe And again, I'm always torn. Like, having them mounted on the bluey white bases, it does add a certain verisimilitude to the models, because you can see why they've got that powder blue armor, which a lot of people have made fun of over the years. Like, it's a good, almost a camouflage for their natural environment. But artistically, would they have popped more and drawn the eye more if they were on deeply contrasting bases? Like, it's a really difficult one. But I think these are really, like, these are cracking. These are also probably better than I could do. Like, the edge highlight is finer, okay, than I can manage and less wobbly. And the enamel recess washers work really, really well. But I'm almost having to justify, right, why they didn't make the top 3. But a really good effort from Burnard there, for sure, right? Then we've got Bionic Man's Arbeits, and I'm going to repeat myself. I really like these. These were certainly in my top 4. Like, I can't speak for all the other judges. I really like the heavy metal style that he's kind of achieved with the really, really crispy edge highlight that's gone around all of them. But again, the same thing that I've said to about a lot of these now, and it's something that I'm coming to realise. Like, I don't think you actually win painting competitions with standard paint schemes. I think people value that, because when you're entering a painting competition, right, you've got the technical execution is one part, and then you've got the sort of artistic idea and what's supposed to be happening as the other part. And I think that the technical expression here is pretty awesome, but it's a standard color scheme, and it's a standard kind of heavy metal painting style. Maybe that's why it's not quite there, but I did really like these Bionic Man. I think they're really cool. And here's the first time working with bright colours, because I think he's really pushed the contrast between the black and then the edge highlight that almost goes up to white. Like, I really like him. He's used contrast paints as a base, which I can kind of see on the yellow of the drone, I think. And it's first time painting up over a white undercoat. But I think these look really good. But unfortunately, the other judges didn't quite agree. They're definitely in my top 4, right? And speaking for me personally, not for the whole judging panel. But big fan. You could rim the bases black, though. That would make them look even better. Or at least a more contrasting colours at the tops of the bases, in my opinion, right? Lieutenant Cowabunga, right? So Lieutenant Cowabunga had his Chaos Kazakin first time using pink grass, right, which is cool. Look, the paint job on these is pretty standard, okay? But, like, let's just take a minute to appreciate the really cool conversions that Lieutenant Cowabunga's done, right? Yeah, okay, it's a pretty standard paint job. Like, the red robes do appear to just basically be red. But Lieutenant Cowabunga is clearly somebody whose, like, hobby joy, comes from, like, mad conversions, and the fact that he's done Chaos Kazakin and they've all got, like, nurgly, antlery things going on is wicked cool, right? So, like, really cool conversions, right? Obviously, the pink tufts out of a packet, fine, yep, and they look good, but it's not the most impressive, like, first new skill thing, and the paint job is pretty, it's fine, it's respectable, it's average. Like, the best painted miniatures are the ones with paint on them, absolutely. But yeah, I really do like your conversions, though. You've got a real eye for things. Yeah, I almost think they'd be nicer. Those conversions would lend themselves a lot to a more kind of muted Blanchitsu style of painting, maybe, but they're really cool, creepy conversions anyway. I really enjoy them. Did you sculpt those horns yourself, some of them as well? They look really cool. Really, really cool. Right, so there's 3 teams left. So the next slide to appear is the bronze medalist, right? The 3rd place winner. And it's going to be Nightfall with his Synth Swarm, right? High Fleet Chimera Synth Swarm. So Nightfall decided to do Synthwave-inspired Tyranids. We've seen these for a long while because Nightfall's involved in doing the involved in doing in fact, he's the instigator of the Tale of Six Gamers, which is a big. I'm going to do a video about that at some point later after we've had the first deadline. But if you're curious, you can check out the Discord, which is a big like 40k army building project. And as part of that, he's developed this color scheme, which is also done on a high fleet kill team, which is really, really arresting and really, really cool. Like, I really, really enjoy it. I really enjoy the way he's able to get his fades in, and it's a really cool color scheme. And yeah, I think I think there's probably some better technical painting in some of the stuff we've seen previously, but increasingly, like, it's the color schemes that are, are kind of arresting people's attention. It looks really, really good. Really enjoy it. First time using bright colours, first time painting Tyranids, first time not using washes, which I thought was really interesting, and first time that he's going to expand his kill team into and this looks so impressive as a 40k army on an entire table. Second place, Sam P's Hand of the Archon. These are really interesting, Sam. Right, so Sam said first time using vibrant underpainting. And these are so weird. Like, they don't look like the kind of colours you'd associate with Dark Eldar at all. But he's done that thing where he's really grabbed somebody's attention, and you look at it and you're like, wow, wow. Like, I think these might be the best painted miniatures, like, in terms of the technical skill of just, like, standard painting that we've seen in the competition. They're not the winners, they're the second place, because we'll talk about the winner in a minute, but I really enjoyed these. All the judges really enjoyed these. Zimbad, who is the only one among us with any formal art training, when I said these are the kind of the 4 teams that I'm thinking of, he was like, wow, I thought I was going to have to fight everybody to get Sam P's Hand of the Archon into the top 3, because it's really, really awesome. Like, I really enjoy these. So I'd really love to see a tutorial on how you achieved the effect of these. If I was to give you one piece of feedback, I don't like the bases. I think the bases, especially the just the way that we're looking at them now in front view, the bases like look a bit motley and weird to me. But the miniatures themselves look amazing, like really, really good. I especially love the ones with helmets, funnily enough. Let me just get the laser pointer again. So, like, this helmet up here it is an absolute picture. Like, just the colours, everything in its place, the fade on the metal, like, it looked really, really, really good. Really amazing. Well done. And then the winner... my mouse has stopped working. Doesn't want me to reveal the winner. So the winner is actually Massive Crit with his Phobos Marines. And I guess this does show you what you can do, because obviously he has painted a canon colour scheme. He's painted the Deathwatch, right? He's done Deathwatch Phobos Marines. But these are just like, I've stared at this for ages, because if I just zoom in a little bit here, like the weathering on this guy. I'm gonna get the laser pointer here. Oh, I can't have the laser pointer and the zoom. Damn. But the weathering around here, like, he genuinely looks like a dirty old ship, right, where the paint's peeling off. Like, this is absolutely amazing. Massive Crit. I want a tutorial for how you've achieved this effect, because this is weathering unlike anything I've ever seen before. They look like they've been on campaign for absolutely ages. Like, the weathering on the black armour, everything about the armour is just really, really amazing. And look at this shoe down here. Look at the realism of that. It just looks awesome. Really impressive. Really, really impressive. Really enjoyed that a lot. The only thing I would say that I didn't see it at first, Mrs. T.I. pointed out, is this guy's got a weird eye. His eye's too big. And that very nearly got you moved off the top spot. Massive Crit. We did have a little bit of a debate about that one. But apart from the eye, everything else on these is pretty perfect. I really do like the armour. And I've got no idea how he did it. as well. He talked about using thick paint, like on purpose, which I guess makes sense if you ever see like a ship in the ocean where there's been rust and they just paint over it with the thicker paint to try and like make it more waterproof. I really do want to know how he's painted these. They look really, really super interesting to me. Okay, really well done. So that's there. So the overall standard was really, really high. And it gets higher and higher every time we run one of these hobby challenges. The next hobby challenge is going to launch in May. And I've talked about what the theme's going to be. It's going to be themed around evil kill teams. I'm going to do a proper video explaining all of the minutiae about that just before the start of May to get everyone ready to go. Okay. A big thank you to all my members, but especially to Nightfall and Massive Crit, who both subscribed at the highest tier. I know somebody's going to be like, how convenient, you got two people that pay you the most money and they've both finished in the top 3. Quite genuinely, right, that was how it shook out. I can't prove that, right? You just have to take my word for it. Quite genuinely, that was how it shook out. Okay, but no, really enjoyed the competition. Really enjoyed judging the competition. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get the video out. I know a lot of people are waiting for it with bated breath, but like, Games Workshop have dropped so much news on us at the moment with Kill Team Wise, with the Night Lords. I've still got to do a video about the Mandrakes, right? And their deep dive for them. This is just sneaking out before that because I know people really, really want it. And plus the Mandrakes are really complicated. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing a hobby stream on Wednesday. So join me for that. Congratulations to Massive Crit. Okay. And to everyone else that entered for their awesome entries. Yeah. And if you want to tell me in the comments who your top kill team would have been, let me know. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe another one has stood out. Maybe you think that I've obviously glossed over the most obvious choice to just pick people who are members of my channel and therefore send me the most money, which I assure you I haven't consciously done. And I did have 2 other judges who concurred with my thoughts. But, let me know in the comments who you would have had in your top 3. All right. Until next time, hope you enjoyed it. Right. Cheerio. Bye-bye. 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 Bye. Bye. Goodbye. Gosh, can't get the mouse to move over to there. Bye. Bye. Must press